We have
Okay.
okay, so can you help me out, like, as people come, just make sure they sign in and let me know if there is a quorum and,
Okay.
thanks, sir. Okay, it is 6:04. I'm calling the meeting to order. I'm Betty Freibush, I'm the chair of the committee. First, the committee members will introduce themselves. So I'm Betty Freibush, I'm the chair, and to my left is
Meredith Phillips Almeida.
and
Dorothy Thompson Manning, co-chair.
And I do want to report that Meredith has taken the responsibility and the delight of being, my delight, to be secretary. She is secretary of the committee, so thank you.
Everyone thanks you.
And if we could go around briefly and guests to the committee could say their name, affiliation, and if there's something for them here, just so we know who you are.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Teresa Roberts. I'm an enrollment specialist with the New York City Department of Education under the Office of Student Enrollment. I primarily help pre-K and pre-K families, children currently born in 2015, 2016, get enrolled in school. So I'm fairly new to the agency. I started in August, and I'm just here to share information about how families can enroll their children for pre-K and pre-K services.
I'm Oscar Luckett. I'm a resident and student in CPT.
My name is Todd Fine. I'm a historian and a PhD candidate at City University of New York who's been studying public art, and I've been involved with some of the advocacy regarding the Willoughby Square.
My name is Janet Compton. I'm the neighborhood library supervisor of the Willoughby branch of the Public Library. Nice to meet you.
I'm Jacob Morris. I'm a public historian. I'm the director also of the Harlem Historical Society.
I'm sorry, this is Missy.
Yeah, Jacob Morris. I'm responsible for back in 2007 getting Duffield Street donated Abolitionist Place.
Are you part of, I'm just asking people for their affiliations. No, I know, just.
Harlem,
And I'm the director of the Harlem Historical Society.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bailey Janicek, Library Information Supervisor at the Wilmington Library.
I don't think you signed. Did you sign?
No.
Great, we don't have a quorum, so
And how many do we need for the quorum?
I think maybe 5, if we have 8 people, you need one more than, yeah. So I don't think we can approve the agenda yet. And I would rather wait to give the chairperson's report when more members come. So I'm going to ask the members of the committee, we have, it seems like we have 2 presentations plus the library people are here. Maybe they have a presentation or just information to share. So I'm wondering if we could hear first from our DOE colleague, and then from the library, because the Willoughby Square might be something that we have to take a vote on. So is it okay with the members that we rearrange ourselves that way?
We have one.
No, we don't have tomorrow.
Just go there in the back.
Okay, then meanwhile, maybe we should, is it okay with the people who are here that we rearrange the agenda the way it's being? Yes. Great, okay, thank you. So we rearranged the agenda, so we'd like our DOE colleague to.
Yes, so like again, my name is Teresa Roberts, and I work with the Office of Student Enrollment. Our office assists families by helping them locate schools near their home or wherever of their preference to see if they are able to.
Willoughby Square, Mr. Morris is going to talk about it. Since this was discussed at our full board meeting a few weeks ago, know, can someone on the board give a brief synopsis of kind of where we left that discussion about Willoughby? Do you want to say anything?
I'm trying to think.
Anyone else? I mean,
I think that we decided to not vote on the proposal until next month in order to allow for the inclusion of public art in the design that recognize that space's history on the Underground Railroad. Is that accurate?
That sounds about right.
Something.
thank you.
Okay, it was something like that. So I believe the executive committee had voted already to approve the design proposal, is that correct?
Yes.
So it was coming before the full board to either accept or deny the executive committee's recommendation. And the first motion that was made was to table acting on the motion until there was further discussion about the inclusion of it. There were a lot of questions about what that actually meant and if how that would impact the timeline, but ultimately it was decided that the full board would not act at the last meeting.
Right, and it was said it would go to committee. I thought because it was a park, it would go to parks, and it ended on our agenda, so I wasn't told.
I mean, it might still go for us. Right?
I don't know, I saw my agenda and our agenda.
PCLA today.
Okay, so we will give Mr. Morris like 10 minutes to present. I'm gonna time it, and then there'll be questions from the board, and then discussion and so on.
Madam Chair, as I discussed with you prior to the beginning of the meeting,
People need to sign it.
I had discussed it with the district manager and then mentioned it with you. We had a discussion. I have a resolution regarding 7-day service, a proposal for 7-day service for libraries.
But you were on the agenda, so we could get to that under other business, but there was on the agenda design proposal Willoughby Square, so can we talk about that?
Okay, so I can bring this up when we get to new business.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
This is on the agenda.
Okay, great. Okay, it was at the request of Councilman Steve Levin that that's why it was tabled.
Councilmember Steve Levin, staff person.
Right, it's a deputy chief of staff. On behalf of the councilman, of course, asked that what was approved by the executive board, which did not go through any committee. EDC brought it directly to the executive board without it going through any appropriate committee.
Because of the timeline, but.
Well, that's, that was their, that was EDC's
Okay,
determination.
can you tell us
Are we hearing revised proposal?
what we're hearing tonight?
I'm going to, but I have to give a little background. If I may.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
So, otherwise, it's like,
Excuse me, yes?
A point of information. Part of the reason why it probably went to the executive board was not so much because the EDC pushed it there, but because we were going through summer session.
That's correct.
And most of the committees don't meet in the months of July and August. So usually, in that case, it would go before the executive board. I don't want to put out there that there was some kind of conspiracy by the
No,
EDC.
I'm not. No.
That's correct.
Okay.
Our committee does not meet, nor does Parks Committee, the committees do not meet in July and August.
Right, no.
That's why I went to.
No, it's, let me say it like this, based on my long experience with dealing with many community boards in 4 of the 5 boroughs.
Can you tell us what your proposal is, though?
I will, but I really want to respond to the gentleman's point, which is a very important point, which is that major, powerful agencies like EDC are very, very experienced with running their way through the system. And that's a fact. And so they know when to bring stuff and when they want to expedite stuff. And projects that they want to get approved. And this is just another project for them. This is nothing special. They don't care about, they really don't care about the history of the neighborhood. They don't care about the rich history of abolitionism and the Underground Railroad in downtown Brooklyn. They don't care about that. They really don't. I'm going to start off with, this was their press release from 2008, September 26th, and they announced that they selected the finalist for their $2 million RFP, $2 million. $1 million for education programming, and $1 million in capital dollars for a memorial to Brooklyn's great role in the abolitionist movement to be integrated in the design of the Willoughby Square green space / park. Or as I sometimes say, if it looks like a park, or if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, why isn't it a duck? But Willoughby Square is supposedly not really a park. It's just a green space that's controlled by EDC. I said that at the last meeting. I said, this is taxpayer dollars and they're controlling it like it belongs to them, like it's their private property. $1 million. That's the key to this whole thing. The budget that they proposed, and some of the proposed examples of designs, which we have pictures of, which even board members weren't allowed to speak at the executive board meeting in August 26th. Only chairs and co-chairs. So I know there was 1 or 2 board members that were there that wanted to ask a question, and they weren't recognized. So their budget to commemorate and honor Brooklyn's great role in the abolitionist movement is a lot less than $1 million. I spoke with the project manager this morning at EDC. We did a FOIL request more than a month ago for the original documents. They have still not produced them. We're talking about the original RFPs, the 4 responses, of which I wrote 1, and the contracts, and the scoring. They have refused to produce any of the relevant documents. And I'm asking the question, why? Why are you not producing the documents? And why did you cut the budget hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for this really superbly warranted memorial to Brooklyn's role in the abolitionist movement and the Underground Railroad. Also, they had a different process for selecting. That was the RFP process. Now it's under percent for art. Percent for art doesn't really deal with historical themes. They deal with artist conceptions. And a key component of honoring abolitionism is historical and educative. And the art needs to be in the service of telling the great story of the abolitionist movement in the United States, in New York City, and focusing on Brooklyn. And this would be world class. And Brooklyn and this district deserves a world-class memorial analogous to the world-class design of the memorial at the African Burial Ground, or the other world-class design that's in the park adjacent to the United Nations, which tells the story of the triangular trade. And that's a fabulous, again, world-class design. Why can't downtown Brooklyn have a world-class design in Willoughby Square Park? So I have one simple resolution and then one more complicated resolution that I would like to present to you guys. The simple resolution is to co-name the Willoughby Square Park or / green space Abolitionist Place Park. To give it that ceremonial co-naming is very powerful symbolism and would show that this community cares about the power of the symbolism. And it would send a message. So I would like to put that. I would like to put that before the committee.
You said you have two resolutions. Can you give us the second one? Then we'll ask you questions and then we'll have a discussion.
Okay, so just in passing, this is the letter, I guess most of the people here heard about Mama Joy or Joy Chattel, and she owned 227 Duffield.
Excuse me, is that the second thing you showed us, that you held up something else, and could you pass them around?
Yeah, I'll be happy to pass this around. This was the letter from Joyce Chattel from May 8th, 2006, when the Block Association, of which she was the president of, authorized me to bring before this board my proposal to co-name Duffield Street Abolitionist Place. So let me pass this to you. Would you guys like to see the press release from the EDC for the $2 million?
So that's from 2008?
Yeah, this is from when they awarded the $2 million.
Okay, so
Except they only $1 million
I just wanted to clarify.
As a condition, right, of the rezone.
It's 2008, that's all.
Right. So I can pass this around also.
Do you have multiple copies of that, or do you have?
No, unfortunately. So let me here's the co-naming, and then I'll pass it around and.
This is for the co-naming of the park or the co-naming of the street? You mentioned.
No, this is the street's already co-named.
Okay.
And that's been universally lauded and applauded. And as far as I know, not only all of Brooklyn, but all of New York City is very proud that Duffield Street got co-named Abolitionist Place. This co-naming, ceremonial co-naming proposal is to ceremonially co-name Willoughby Square Abolitionist Place Park. It would still have the name Willoughby Square, but this board has the power and the authority and the right to ceremonially co-name Willoughby Square Abolitionist Place Park. So I'll read it. Whereas in 2007, our community board, after extremely thorough investigation and deliberation, voted unanimously to co-name Duffield Street Abolitionist Place. And whereas, subsequent to the leadership role our board took in recognizing this great clustering of prominent abolitionists located in our district, the Bloomberg administration utilized the New York City Economic Development Corporation as its tool to administer the disbursement of $2 million through the RFP process to communicate, honor, and educate all our citizenry about Brooklyn's great role in the abolitionist movement. And whereas that the $2 million be dispersed through a request for proposal, competition with $1 million for educational programming and the $2 million for an educative memorial to abolitionism that would be integral to the design of Willoughby Square Park. And whereas the park, which was going to be constructed on top of a huge parking garage, the developer of which, after more than 12 years, finally defaulted, subsequently this delay and the sheer passage of time has caused EDC to move forward with the construction of the green space currently named Willoughby Square, somehow minimizing the prior commitment to memorializing abolitionism. And whereas co-namings are understood to be ceremonial honorings, and the street adjacent to the park is already co-named Abolitionist Place, it seems nothing but appropriate that the green space next to it, which will also be the site of a hopefully outstanding memorial to Brooklyn's great role in the abolitionist movement, also be co-named Abolitionist Place Park. And so therefore be it resolved that our community board hereby calls for the ceremonial co-naming of Willoughby Square as Abolitionist Place Park. So, would you like this, Madam Chair?
Sure, thank you.
Would you like it to be passed around?
Yeah, why don't you guys pass it around? Do you have copies of this or no?
No, unfortunately.
Okay.
I don't.
So
But
you can pass
it's
it around
for you.
and the secretary.
I mean, I have it on my phone. But you should, if you'd like to pass it around.
Yeah, we will pass it around. Okay, so I just want to clarify our procedure at this point. It sounds to me that you're asking, you offered a resolution, but we could also make a motion and put it in our words. But you're asking,
Absolutely.
you're asking for a resolution to co-name the Willoughby Square Park, the Abolitionist Square Park. Is that?
No, Place Park.
Place,
Abolitionist Place
okay,
Park.
I'm sorry. Abolitionist Place Park.
If one side of it is named after Willoughby, why
Oh,
not?
okay,
the other side?
So I'm going to ask my members for a motion, and then we can have a discussion, and then if it's seconded, then we would have a vote. So is there a motion?
For purposes of moving this forward, I move that we co-name the Willoughby Square Park to Willoughby Square Park and Willoughby
Abolitionist
Square Park
Place.
and Abolitionist Place Park. That's my motion.
So it's to rename it Willoughby
Coney,
Square.
Coney.
Willoughby Square
Ceremonially.
Abolitionist Place Park. You got it. Okay, so I'm asking our committee members, is there any, thank you, Mr.
There needs to be a
We don't
second.
have a second.
Okay.
Can't do anything.
Okay. Thank you. Is there discussion now amongst the board members?
I have some discuss, I have some things I want to say. First of all, one of the things I want to say to Mr. Morris is that you said at the executive board meeting that not everyone was allowed to speak, only the chairs and co-chairs when you gave your presentation.
I didn't speak at the executive
Oh,
board.
you didn't speak at the executive
I was
board.
not allowed to speak.
So you,
I raised my hand, I wasn't recognized.
you weren't recognized to speak at all, is there?
Zero.
What was the who made the presentation, do you recall?
EDC.
And
Various members.
and Department of Cultural Affairs.
Okay, then, you-
Department of Cultural Affairs.
Okay. Now, the other thing is, I just want to clarify. You're asking us to do something, is this in, now you did speak before the full community board, and that's when Steve Levin's person said to table it or whatever it was, and we were not allowed to vote. Is that correct?
No, that is not the sequence, the way it went down. The councilman's representative, deputy chief of staff, on his behalf, spoke prior to the vote as just a member, a citizen of New York City and a community member of some form or another, and an interested party. Your public session for Community Board 2 is scheduled at the very end of the meeting. So I spoke about two things at the very end of the meeting for 2 minutes. I spoke about that we will be honoring Ida B. Wells and the street conning for Ida B. Wells, which I'm also responsible for, and the placement of a plaque on 4 Metro Tech, which we're very excited about. And that just that day, J.P. Morgan Bank had finally approved the design of the plaque. Hallelujah. So I spoke on that for 1 minute, and then for 1 minute I spoke on, gee, it really would be good to remember that EDC money is taxpayer money, it's our money, and that it was 1 million, it wasn't less than 1 million. And that this board should hold EDC to its promise and commitment from 2007 for $1 million at a minimum, because I think the press release is still going around. Not only does it say that there should be 1 million allocated for the memorial honoring Brooklyn's role in the abolitionist movement, it also says that they're looking to get even more money from private sources to make it an even better one, and that's in the press release.
Maybe I'm not clear. This is what I'm trying to find out. Are you asking us to vote on something that was tabled by the full board?
No,
This is something.
this is the co-name Willoughby Square, Abolitionist Place Park, is just something that I like to do. I like to co-name streets for the appropriate historically significant
I just wanted to know
names.
if you were asking us to do something that was already presented to the full board and tabled. And that's what I was trying to clarify. So I'm trying to figure out, are you talking about the exact same thing, or is this something different? Because I do remember.
Well, co-naming, you're very perceptive.
I also knew that at that meeting, that people were taking notes and carrying
if I may,
on too. I remember all of that, just like now.
if I may, the co-naming proposal for the green space currently labeled Willoughby Square as per EDC just like Duffield Street was named Duffield Street. There's a long tradition now in New York City for ceremonial co-namings. This has nothing to do with EDC's initiative.
Design.
And the framework of the design that they presented to the executive board. And that's what it was. It was a framework of the design. And without, community boards are critical to the ULURP process. I hope everyone,
Yeah,
I
this
hope
isn't to you, this.
no, but co-namings don't come under ULURP.
Right, so.
No, I'm
we
just,
wanna understand what you're
because she asked
asking.
me that question, I'm responding to her question.
I asked you the question based on what you're presenting. I
So,
wanna make sure that you're not asking us to do something
so
that is
the
tabled.
proposal to co-name is a discrete proposal that stands on its own 2 feet and doesn't have anything to do with EDC, unless they don't like it, in which case then that's up to them. But are you guys empowered to ceremonial co-name?
I believe that co-naming falls underneath the transportation committee, am I correct?
That's my understanding. However, when I asked Mr.
That would
Harris.
be for a street.
Oh,
Not
but
necessarily
not
for a park.
Okay.
Park is
It's not a
different.
park. We're
When I
saying
asked
it's not a park.
Mr. Harris, he said after the discussions in the executive and in the full meeting, the recommendation was to bring the issue to committee. And for some reason, our committee, I guess Cultural Affairs, was
Okay.
chosen.
Because this is a
I had
cultural
thought
place.
it would be parks, because it is a park or a green space.
Yeah,
However,
but
we
the
can't.
RFP, if the RFP originally said educational programming,
Point of
then
information.
that makes sense. However, this is a separate thing that we're not discussing then, which is the design and whatnot, and what we're doing a whole separate.
So let me clarify, so there are two things going on. One is the motion that's on the table to co-name ceremonially, and then there's some other piece of the conversation about that the design and that the memorial is integral to the design, and that maybe refers to the,
Amount of money that was allocated.
wait, let me think this through. That refers to the previous decision, the proposal from 2008. So there's really two things that you're talking about, and I just want to be clear, like what we're voting on, procedurally.
Point of
Just
information. Willoughby Park, I want to refer to it as Willoughby Square Park now. This ball has been bouncing around for a long time. The first time I heard of anything to be done with Willoughby Park had nothing to do with abolitionists. They wanted to make a public space. And at the time, the developers promised us that we'd have a bathroom. And then they reneged on that, and we had a whole rigmarole about whether we were going to get bathrooms.
I remember that.
Okay? At that point in time, they said that we were going to get a garage, and that's the reason why we couldn't have bathrooms and people could go across the street. Okay? And they were going to put a dog walk in. Okay? Now the bathrooms are gone, the dog walk is gone, and the garage is gone. Okay? And this is the first time that I heard that anything was going to be happening in terms of the abolitionist history of New York. Now, as I recall, and I may be wrong, there was no discussion at the last meeting, at the general meeting, about co-naming. About co-naming. Okay? I don't recall, and I see some heads nodding that will agree with that.
I agree with you.
So this is a brand new proposal.
This is, right.
Okay? My question is, why co-name it at all? Why just simply call it Abolitionist Square? Why are we married to Willoughby Park Square? I mean, Willoughby Street is still going to be there, okay? And like I said, I made this motion, but I made this motion so that we can move things around, move things along, okay? That's the first thing. Let me get off of this thing, I'm sorry. Okay. So that's the first thing. Now, in terms of what kind of monies are going to be given, and that's when I turned this off, Jesus Christ. In terms of what kind of monies are going to be there and what kind of exhibits are going to be there, I don't recall even being presented with that at this meeting. Okay, so I have no idea what's going to be there.
Correct. When I asked Mr. Paris for a little more information, he did say that these decisions were made in 2008. So now we seem to be asked to revisit that in light that there's no garage, there's no bathroom. Well, it's a different design now.
Yeah.
But apparently the decision and the awarding of the money, that statement was, that decision was made in 2008. That's
And
what-
2008 is before my tenure, so I can't comment on that. But the proposal that's being put before us is, that I understand, and I only will understand one clearly, is the co-naming, okay? And I believe, you know, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You want us to make a resolution about co-naming this space? And my alternative to that is, again, why co-name it at all? Why not simply call it Abolitionist Square? Particularly since there's so much abolitionist history on that particular block, and there's a house down the street that there is a whole lot of controversy going on about right now in terms of being a center of the Underground Railroad. So I would be willing to amend my motion. I've never heard of anybody amending their motion.
It's called a friendly amendment.
Yeah, I know that. Would somebody make a friendly amendment to my motion?
Well, I have a question first. I thought it was brought up that we don't have the authority to be renaming, we only need the authority to be co-naming. I don't know, that's what I thought I heard you say.
Yeah,
If that's the case, well then
I would love,
decisions
We're making
the
a,
board to say,
we're making a recommendation. That's what we're doing.
okay, well,
We have a motion to co-name, and we have a second. So are we going to take that to a vote and then make another motion for something else?
No, I would like someone here to make a friendly motion to, motion to my motion. A friendly amendment to my motion.
You know what wants to make this?
Huh?
I think you can amend your own motion, it's just that the person who seconded it would have to agree. So you can,
Well, I'm trying to be correct.
no, I believe that you can. I believe you can amend your own motion and then it can move forward as long as the person who seconded it still seconds it.
That sounds right.
Okay, so then I amend my motion. To rename Willoughby Square Park, Abolitionist Square Park. Can I get a second on that?
There's not a second, she has to agree whether she wants to or not.
I have to agree with that. It's my motion.
That's seconded, oh.
You what?
I second, yes.
he concurs.
Okay, so that's the motion that's on the floor now.
Well, that's more than I asked for, but thank you, sir.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have more discussion, or shall we ask for a vote?
Can I ask a question? I just wanted to hear, again, it would be great to include in the record about other support that exists for this. I know you originally proposed a co-naming, but now we're on renaming.
Yeah,
No,
well,
you know, besides just yourself, if there's
I'm
others.
hoping that if the board passes this, well, if the committee passes it and then the full board passes it, that we don't run into problems with the powers that be up above in the city administration. I know that ceremonial co-naming absolutely will fly and will be very powerful in its symbolism. I
Sorry,
totally,
can I clarify?
yes.
I wanted to ask what support exists now, not from city
Oh.
agencies, just like from, do you have other neighborhood groups or other, you know, groups
Oh,
in support? Because it's great to get that into the record.
okay,
So that
so
we can,
in regards to what you just said, yes. The answer is, in terms of the documentation and the prestigious historians that are supportive of the abolitionism role of downtown Brooklyn, and particularly that focal point of that 2-block stretch of Duffield Street and the surrounding couple of blocks. That was really a focal point of, it was a hotbed of abolitionist activity prior to the Civil War. Absolutely. So just prestigious historian after prestigious historian. And as the board knows, it was fairly recently that even Ida B. Wells lived a block and a half away.
So
can we call the question?
So to answer your question,
Yes.
to answer your question, the Brooklyn Historical Society, the Weeksville Society, and there were at least 2 more.
Irondale
He didn't
and
say
Evers and Brooklyn College and Brooklyn
You said it.
Polytech.
Yeah, he didn't say it, but I'm trying to.
But he's supposed to give us the information.
I
So we
understand.
need to know what he knows. He's asking us for something. So when Meredith asked him, I want him to tell us who also supports what he wants to do. And that's what I feel he should have been.
He should have been, but it's like pulling
But-
teeth.
Although,
That's, yeah, but it's his presentation.
I get it.
Okay.
it seems, although
Okay,
this,
but, okay,
sorry, since this is a new motion, I think it's hard for us to expect that him to say, I've got supporters for this motion, which is a new one, which is to rename the entire park, which has never been discussed in the
So
past.
to clarify, I asked for the co-naming supporters.
Oh, sorry.
Just because I know that that would be the only thing that
Okay,
you
I
have
would like-
coming here, yeah.
to call the question, so can we, Mr. Sproul, can you repeat the motion that we are going to vote on?
Yes, I move that we rename Willoughby Square Park to Abolitionist Square Park.
Way.
Abolitionist Place Park.
Abolitionist Place Park.
You just said
I'm sorry.
place park.
Abolitionist Place Park.
Abolitionist Place Park. Okay, so that is, on the table, the motion to rename Willoughby Square Park to Abolitionist Place Park. So we're going to call the vote. And we're going to have to say who for the record. You did that. So how many people are voting for this?
So did you do one question?
Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, Matthew? No. Mr. Sproul?
5.
And votes no?
My vote is I'm abstaining.
Abstain. Okay. So the vote carries by a vote of 5 to 0 to 1. And we will let the district office know, and then it should be on the agenda for the full meeting. Now, you said you had another proposal about libraries. I'm going to defer that to the section community forum because that part was not on the agenda.
Right. Now, I do have,
But if you have something else,
relating to this, yes, I do.
we have less than an hour. We have a lot of other things to discuss. I need to approve the minutes. I have my library colleagues here. I have other business to
I have
relay.
I
So
have a quick
is
one,
this?
Madam Chair, and it's directly related to this matter of abolitionism and EDC.
Very briefly.
Yes.
Is this requiring a resolution or a motion, or is this informational?
It might require a vote. It might require either a resolution or a vote for a letter of support. And that's why I like.
Can you
If
just
it's
say?
not on the agenda, shouldn't we put it?
It is on the agenda.
So what you just spoke about was not on the agenda?
No, everything is related to abolitionism.
Everything is related to design
And Willoughby Square.
That's what it says here.
Well, can you, in a half of a sentence, can you say the topic of the next statement?
Okay. So, EDC has been withholding the documents.
Okay, so that's about the FOIL request and that. I'm
Right.
going to
So,
ask
so let me
that we
just,
refer that to
if
the-
I may, Madam Chair, finish the two sentences, because they're really germane to this. If EDC is withholding the documents from the original RFP and all the responses and the contracts from 2007 and 2008, and that the city council person himself has courteously and respectfully asked EDC, besides there being a FOIL request on record, and it's now been more than a month, and as a public agency, EDC is supposed to respond within 30 days, and they have not. And they haven't responded to the elected representative that
You
represents.
told us that you FOILed it.
So what I would like the committee and the board to resolve is to ask EDC in a letter or a resolution for the documents, because for you guys to vote on a preliminary design at a full board meeting without the original documents that are incredibly germane and critically important to the decision-making process, to the intelligent decision which you guys make all the time. And that does come under you, Willoughby. You guys are entitled to the original documents. If there was $1 million promised and committed,
You've
then,
mentioned, sorry, you've
and
mentioned
so
that
then,
already.
so then it's there in the
Let me
documents.
ask my committee, Ms. Thompson-Manning, what is your suggestion of how we proceed? We heard the statement already, and we have other agenda items.
I'm not, based on what he's saying, I think that, I don't know if we should take a vote on this right now, unless everyone else agrees. Because I'm not sure what it is he wants us to vote on. It's just not that
It
clear.
sounds like he wants documents from
And
ETC.
he wants us to
I would
decide.
like you guys to request the documents so that you
Vote on
can
it.
make a better decision, because if you guys vote without the
Okay.
documents,
Thank
then
you
you're
for
not
that.
knowledgeable.
Thank you for that advice. So can somebody make a motion, and somebody second it to see if we want to FOIL the documents?
Can I make a comment first? Is that okay? So this is what I wrote down. Mr. Morris asked the committee to request that EDC share the original documents that are key to the decision-making process related to funding to be used for education.
So that has no time bearing on it, okay?
Correct.
So that's where we're at with it.
I'd just like to say, given that our community has waited 12 years for the parking garage development underneath the park,
Mr. Morris,
the full
I
park.
had originally said 10 minutes to present and then questions and discussion. We have other matters, so
Right.
thank you, and we will follow up.
I want to thank the committee from all of my heart. This was very special. And,
Will you request
and
EDC to present?
your committee members are fantastic, Madam Chair.
They are, I love them.
May I ask, will you ask EDC to present?
I won't personally ask, I communicate with the board office and the chair. There's an office that manages these types of Okay, so next on the agenda is the approval of minutes from June 24th. Does anyone need to look at it? They were